Apologies, but I have just woken up. And over the past few days, I've been seeing something on my Twitter that I had thought about making a video on. I've kind of made a video about it in the past. I called it was called a Can We Stop Quitters? I believe it was. It was a video where I showcased a less than 3-minute match that I had on Skull Merchant, where the instant one person got hit and they saw it was Skull Merchant, they insta-DC'd, and following that, another person insta-DC'd, and following that, the third person just stood around the basement waiting for me to come and down them, and the only person that actually ran away and gave me a chase was a Sable, and even she gave up on first hook. But I mean, two people insta-DC'd and the third person wasn't doing jagged diddly dog shit, so, what are you gonna do at that point? But over the past probably 3 days on Twitter, I've been seeing a lot of, people talk about, Survivor and Killer Mains, talk about how this quitting epidemic is just getting ridiculous. Literally, killers are saying that, every other fucking one of their games, and I've seen this as well, if you do even slightly well in the beginning of the game, if you do even slightly good, you just get fucked, for free. Right, the survivors DC, or they insta give up on hook, or something like that. And what caused me to sit down and make this video was, first off, everything was just kind of tweets, and like I said, I can confirm it from a personal view, but I never saw a really good example get posted until Gorgia over on Twitter ended up posting this. This clip's not very long, it's only 28 seconds. Let's go ahead and watch it together. So it literally took 19 seconds. 19 seconds into the game, the Meg makes a very, very, very minor mistake. And from that mistake, she decides that the best course of action is to DC. Now, look, I get it. It can be very frustrating. Okay, in my experience, you go to drop the pallet so you can get a little bit of distance, and you accidentally drop it to the other side, and then it's just like, oh, well, okay, I guess I'll go fuck myself. I've had the game pallet vacuum me back toward the killer, and it's irritating, and I understand. In that moment, that is probably the Meg's last straw. I'm not going to judge the Meg too hard because, like I said, it's probably the Meg's last straw. That's happened to me a few times where it's just been bad match after bad match after bad match, and things happen, and then I just get tired of it. And so I DC, I rage quit. But then if I get to that point, I feel like I get off the game, right? I get off the game and I don't play anymore. But the thing is that it's been happening so much, and the excuses for it have been so bad that people have decided that maybe it's time we get rid of giving up on first hook. And we talk about how people are basically queuing up for a game that they don't even want to play. Now, for a lot of people watching this video, you might think back to my more recent videos, videos like the Should I Quit DBD and, the myth of balance and, the community is miserable and it's affecting me. All of those videos where I've been talking about how I basically am playing a game that right now, as of right now, I don't really want to play because I'm not having fun. And part of it is dealing with the fucking community, and part of it is dealing with some very bad performance issues on the game's behalf. I talked a little bit about this in another video, I don't remember which one, where, sometimes it gets really frustrating. The game just is not when the game doesn't work properly, and that fucks me, that really pisses me off. You know, I can go in and I can go in and I can I can land a hunter's hatchet and the blood will splatter and everything, and then it just doesn't happen, and it's just like, oh, okay. Do you feel validated? Hit validation, haha, right? Or I'll be playing Billy and they will just walk right in front of my chainsaw, give it a little kiss, and then they'll just walk off. And I miss when I shouldn't have. I should have hit them. Or I'll be playing a Death Slinger, and I'll go to shoot somebody, and the spear will just hit thin air and just break and stop. And it's just like, okay, you know what I mean? Like things like that. I've had many instances on Blight where I go to hit somebody who's about to vault a pallet, and somehow I go past them and hit the pallet instead of them, right? Just a bunch of things like that. You know, the game does not fucking function properly, and that can get very frustrating. And I've talked about, I have to play this because it's my job and I have to pay bills. You know, if I could get away with playing another game consistently getting good views, then I would, but as of right now, it's a lot harder to do. But I don't understand casual players continuing to play a game that they hate, right? I don't understand if you're somebody who doesn't have to play this game for a living. You can literally come home from school or work or your local orgy or whatever and play any game you want. Why would you consistently queue up for a game that you cannot stand? When I was a casual player, if a game was making me mad, I didn't rage queue. I didn't rage queue Apex. I didn't rage queue Overwatch. I would switch. There was a game that I used to own. I didn't play it. I don't play it anymore because the owner came out as incredibly transphobic, and he's an indie dev, so I didn't want to support him. But it was called Killing Floor 2. Quite possibly my favorite zombie game of all time. It's an amazing game, top to bottom, amazing game. One of my favorite zombie game of all time was one of my favorite games of all time. I would play that. I would get on and play Killing Floor 2 and just relax, right? I would play Kingdom Hearts, which is games I love. You know what I mean? When I was a casual gamer, when I was somebody who played video games purely for fun and not for a job, I never, ever, ever, ever dedicated time to games that I hated. And I don't understand how there are people out there that do. I don't understand how you continuously will rage queue into a game that you know you're not going to enjoy. And then there's on top of that, there's also the way that the DBD community just treats the game in general. So like I said, I was talking about how it's weird to me, you know, what we were just talking about. It's weird to me how people continuously queue into a game if they're just going to DC the second things don't go their way, or they're just going to give up on Hook the second things don't go their way. Just don't play the game if you're going to rage quit at every inconvenience. And somebody had replied to me on Twitter, and I'm not going to share who it was because I don't want to start like a witch hunt or anything. I've become a lot more aware over recent months about exactly how much influence I have, which is fucking weird. I'm not going to lie to you. It's really, really strange to have the influence that I do. I'm just not used to people following me. But anyway, the point is that with my influence, I don't want a witch hunt started, so I'm not going to point out who it was, but they're also like a pretty well-known person in the DBD community, and they were like, well, I don't understand why you guys keep saying just don't queue instead of acknowledging the problems with the game. And I was like, the thing is that the problems with the game are vastly different depending on who you ask. And then one of their replies to someone else was that they're going to quit anytime they get a hag. A hag, of all people. Are you saying the hag is a problem with the game? And their reasoning, well, I just don't have fun against a hag. Well, don't play the game then. Why would you purposely queue into a game and then ruin the experience for 4 other people because you don't personally like the killer? I don't understand that. Like I said, if you're rage queuing and you get to a point where you insta DC the second something goes wrong, get off the game. But many of you don't do that. Many of you continue to queue over and over and over again. And I'm not saying that other games don't have rage quitters or other games don't have people who throw when they're having a bad time or something like that. What I am saying is that it is nowhere near as prominent as it is in Dead by Daylight. Dead by Daylight has the most prominent community of absolute fucking whiny babies. A bunch of people queuing up for a game they cannot fucking stand, that they do not want to play unless they are unequivocally winning 100% of the time. I have seen people try to justify rage quitting for the pettiest of fucking reasons. They don't like who the killer is. They don't like that their teammates aren't doing gens fast enough for their liking. Their teammates are doing a totem or a chest. They went down and chased very quickly. They dropped a pallet on the wrong side like this Meg did. You know what I mean? And I've seen killers quit for fucking the pettiest goddamn fucking reasons. They loaded in, they got flashlight blinded one time, they got teabagged one time, this all this other stuff. But at the very least, I'm not trying to excuse killers here because I know somebody's going to accuse me of it. But at the very least, if a killer rage quits a game, everybody gets to just go next, right? The killer gets to go next, the 4 survivors, no one's stuck in that game. But if a survivor rage quits a game, 3 survivors within that match now have to sit there and suffer until the killer comes and gets them. And if a survivor DCs instead of gives up on first hook, which is, I think honestly I would rather, then the survivors have to deal with a bot, which might not be that great. And as a killer main, I can tell you most killer mains, vast majority of killer mains, do not like playing against bots. It's fucking boring. All you can do against a bot is W key after them. You can't mind game a bot because they can see you through walls. You can't stealth up on a bot because they can see you through walls. You can't do any of that. And bots like automatically pathfind towards certain things. I don't know if it's still in the game, but like for a great example, if you're playing twins and you leave Victor somewhere, bots will pathfind across the map to kick Victor. I was testing some stuff out with Victor when I did my twins video way back in the day, like my original how to fix twins video, and I literally did it. I had all 4 survivors were on the other side of the map. I had left Victor in a place so that I could test the recall mechanic, and a bot literally walked from across the map to go kick Victor. And that kind of stuff just isn't fun. That kind of stuff is not fun to deal with. It's not fun or interesting to sit there and have bots that just automatically do things. It's fun to play against real people. That's why I'm playing a PvP game. If I wanted to play against bots and NPCs, I'd go play a single player game, right? Part of the fun of a game like this is outsmarting and outplaying your opponents, or even just sometimes if the killer wants to be a silly, goofy little guy. That's another reason I've seen people quit. I had someone tell me one time that if the killer doesn't have quote unquote personality, whatever the fuck that means nowadays, then they were just gonna quit. And that's what I'm saying. Like, there's perfectly valid reasons to quit, right? There's accessibility options, and like I said, there's your last straw. But if you ever find yourself DCing from a game because you're pissed off at it, you need to get off that game. And it's becoming such a problem now where everybody just wants everything to cater to them individually in just such an outstandingly dumb way. And you might be saying, well, if someone's not having fun, why should they stay in a game that they're not having fun in? But my point is that if you're not having fun so often that you're using just the most pathetic excuses to leave the game, play a different game. Dead by Daylight might not be for you. It's okay to want changes. It's okay to not like the way certain killers play. I have gone on record for many years of saying that I don't like the way Legion plays. I do not like the lack of commitment that most Legion players have because they just want to get that 5-man frenzy, and so you get stuck in 20-minute matches mending over and over and over and over again until the last 5 minutes comes along and they realize they've lost 4 gens and they've gotten 2 hooks in that time, and then all of a sudden they want to commit and the game completely changes and it becomes frustrating because everything they've been doing up until that point has completely flipped on its head. So there's no strategy involved. They just start panicking. I've always maintained that, but I don't DC just because it's a Legion, right? I don't give up on first hook just because it's a Legion. It's frustrating. And if I can tell you this right now, if I ever find myself in that situation where I'm giving up on first hook just because of who the killer is, I promise you, regardless of money, regardless of financial issues, I will put this fucking game down for good. Because when you queue into a game, you are risking playing against any one of those killers in the game. And if a killer, just who the killer is, makes you quit, You need to play a different game. Because that is ridiculous. But yeah, I've rambled on for 15 minutes. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think down below. And as always, a great big special thank you to my channel members listed on screen now. You want to find out how to become a channel member today and get awesome perks like seeing videos early, merch discount codes, and more, then please click that join button down below. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one. Need more Kaiser in your life? Well, I've got you covered. Check out my second channel, The Kaiser Extras, where I upload full gameplays, stream compilations, me reacting to your Dead by Daylight clips, and more. We also upload a daily short with all the greatest clips from stream. We'll see you over there. Link is in the description.